and welcome to part 3 of the Future of Work series. So today is really interesting because we are going to be focusing on one particular technology that is really at the heart of the upcoming job crisis. So when we talk about moving our workplace into this kind of new tech-driven automation style, one of the key factors in that is going to be artificial intelligence. So again, there's a lot of misconceptions around artificial intelligence, and we're not going into necessarily all of those misconceptions today, but just in general, what kind of jobs are they taking over? And they're going to be, kind of at all aspects of our economy. So what kind of jobs can they actually do? What kind will they be taking over? And what will be left for the rest of us humans? And more importantly, in this shift, what in the world does your own personal mission have to do with all this? Because it's actually pretty vital. So let's jump right in here and get started. So let's see, can you guys see that? Awesome. Cool. Okay. So part 3, if you've missed part 1 and 2, not to worry. They are all going to be posted up on our page and in our private Facebook group called Rebel Leaders. So they're there for you whenever you want to watch them. So today, part 3 is going to be the future. Now, part 1, we talked about the threat, kind of all of the different kinds of tech that are coming to, quote, steal our jobs and what you can do about them. And then last week, we talked about the context. And in that, we really brought it home a little bit, and we talked more about the bigger shift from the beginning of like caveman times and what it means to have a job, where did the idea of a job come from, and where, more importantly, where are we going? So today I really want to focus on this one aspect of it, this artificial intelligence, because it's kind of the thing that's going to be the heartbeat of all the other explosions in tech. And of course, here at the Academy, we teach multi-dimensionally. So our first lesson was really about the physical changes that are happening in the workplace around technology, what's coming in, what's going out. Last time we talked more about the energy of where this is all going. If we look at sort of moving from this idea of us doing everything to us doing one thing, the idea that we are getting more and more specialized. So specialization is actually coming down to just an N of 1. So just you. Like you're going to be the only one who can do your job, versus what we have now, which is kind of, we have these jobs, these boxes outside of ourselves, and we try to pigeonhole ourselves into these boxes, whether they are, a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, a candlestick maker, whatever the case, right? So we're moving towards a new energetic dynamic, which is that we are going to be telling the world what we're going to be doing, rather than trying to fit ourselves into a box that the world has created for us. Today, about the future, we're going a little bit more onto the physical and then to the individual level. So with AI, I just want to tell you again what is happening with this movement and where you fit in as an individual. So bringing it home today on that level. So artificial intelligence, it is the #1 technology that is going to create massive job loss and open up a lot of opportunity as well. But let's focus right now on the jobs that it can do well and the jobs that it can't do well. And there's a lot around this because people tend to think artificial technology, artificial intelligence is going to be almost like surrogate humans. So it's going to get to the point, we have all of these dystopian films feeding us ideas that, it's getting to the point where they're going to be human-like, but even better. And that's really not true. When you talk to the people that are working with AI all day long, and they're the ones creating it, there are very specific things that AI is good for. And there's a whole bunch of other things that humans are still actually going to be into the future the best at. So AI is first and foremost a tool. It's not something that's going to take over. It's not better than us. It's just like anything else. It's just going to be a more efficient, smarter tool. Not going to get into whether it's going to gain consciousness. That's a whole different discussion. For now, we're looking at the next 25 years, which is relatively predictable in terms of where AI might go. And what we're seeing is that It's going to augment a lot of what we do. Some of it will take over, but mostly it's going to really help us become better and more efficient at what we are doing already. So a lot of this comes from this man here. He is a leading expert in the world around artificial intelligence. His name is Dr. Kai Philippe. He was the CEO of Google China, for example, and he's worked at a lot of different companies. I think it was IBM, Microsoft. So he's really at the cutting edge of where this tech is going. And according to Mr. Lee there, this is what AI is particularly good at. So thinking about jobs, anything that has to do with optimizing a process or analyzing information quickly, anything that is a routine activity. We're seeing this in factories a lot. Think of, when we first went into factories and all of a sudden we started doing one thing like a riveter, right? So we have a production line. That kind of routine activity is what we're talking about, and all the way up to any kind of multi-phase process, but that's routine. It doesn't really take a lot of thought. You just do the same thing. It could be a pretty complex set of procedures, but really doesn't change much. That's what AI is poised to really take over and take over well and completely. So we're looking at things like, customer support services, or, being a dishwasher in a restaurant, truck driver, a radiologist, things that are, everything's the same, it's day to day, it's routine. And if you think about that, putting aside the fear around job loss, if you think about, we have these technologies that are poised to take away all of those mechanized routine things that, a lot of us really, we don't even want those jobs. If we didn't need the money, most of those jobs humans wouldn't even want to do in the first place. Really, I don't think there's a lot of people in the world who were born and go, what I really want to do with my life is wash dishes. Wash dishes all day long forever. That's what I really want to do. I would look back on my life and go, man, I lived a good life washing all those dishes. It's really not something that we should be doing in the first place. So yeah, there are people in those jobs making money, but for the most part, people want to be more human, more using their own talents and abilities. So we're looking at, what is AI great at? Great at optimizing, analyzing routine activities. And here's what they are horrible at, and they're not going to be good at any time in the foreseeable future. And that's anything involving creativity, strategy, and what Kai Philippe calls compassion. And I put in parentheses there, when I really looked at his work and I listened to him speak, it's not, yes, compassion is one of those things, but it's really what he's talking about is EQ, is emotional intelligence. The ability to have empathy and interact and understand what's going on internally for the people that you are working with. So I would almost change the word compassion to emotional intelligence, is really at the heart of what he's saying. Compassion is one of those elements of emotional intelligence. So humans are amazingly creative. That's what we've done to get ourselves here, right? Strategy, our thinking into the future. And yeah, AI is good at strategy in the sense of predicting outcomes and analyzing data to predict a future. But when we're talking about strategy here, what we're really saying is the ability to look at motives, right? So what AI is not good at is the complexity of human motivation. And we innately, especially if you have high emotional intelligence, that tends to go hand in hand. Is we can look at a situation, let's say we're looking at a political situation where we're looking at all these different groups and factions of people and this and that. We have a much better ability at strategizing through all of the emotions and all of the different individual and group motivations than an AI could, because AI doesn't understand, just doesn't get humans in that way. So you can feed the AI all the data in the world and say, this country has this going on in its political system, and it has these economic variables and blah, blah, blah. Give it all the data, all of the quantitative data, but humans are really good at all that qualitative stuff, all of the softer sort of aspects. And I say softer because you can't quantify it, right? So all of the softer aspects that go around making human decisions and looking and saying, okay, I think these people are going to probably act this way because of these things. AI, not good at that at all. So we are looking at a whole sector of jobs that are going to be opening up for people around the intersection of high creativity, strategy, and compassion, and augmenting all of those things with artificial intelligence. So yeah, sure, give us the data in all of these fields, cool, event planning, concierge, but AI is never going to be able to be like the warm-hearted concierge that you're looking for. Or, you know, when you're in, let's say, hospice care, and it's kind of the end of days for you, and you don't want an AI, even if it's humanoid, you don't want an AI robot coming to you and helping you, because they're not going to be able to emote and give that energetic and emotional connection. And you know, right now globally, we have a big problem or a big challenge coming up in that our population is aging. We are going to have more people who need that kind of elderly care than ever before. So we're going to need people to take care of those people. We're not going to need robots and AI to take care of those people. We're going to need humans. So we're looking at everything across from, you know, CEOs actually of big companies, they need a high emotional intelligence to make decisions that are going to, you know, potentially impact thousands, if not tens of thousands of people in their companies and around the world. So they need to have very high emotional intelligence to be able to do their jobs well. Let's say that well, right? Because we have tons of stories about CEOs doing things that are unethical and all of that. But we're talking about the good ones, to be actually a great CEO and good at your job. So we're looking at things like event planners. I mean, if you're planning your wedding, let's say, you don't want a robot planning your wedding. They're not going to be there for you. They're not going to hold your hand and go through all of, you know, the fears that might be going through the whole planning process. They're not going to understand that human aspect of it. And then if you look at creativity, right? Our artists, our poets, people that create beautiful architectural spaces for us. We can have, here's the difference. Let's take architecture. We can have artificial intelligence create the most efficient architectural spaces for us. We can tell, hey, we need this building and we need it to do these functions. Cool. What it's not going to do is say, how do we create this building so that it makes somebody who walks in it feel uplifted, feel happiness, feel joy. And what I'm thinking about, let's say, are the old cathedrals, right? Old churches, old spiritual places. When these places were built, normally we as humans, we want to invoke a certain feeling, whether it's awe or it is, you know, some kind of feeling of sacred, whatever it is, we build the space to invoke that feeling. AI, not going to be very good at building spaces that invoke feelings in us. That's not what they do. They'll optimize the building. They'll say, here's how you do it with the least amount of building materials for the least cost and yada, yada, yada. But then it's up to us as the humans to go in there and really make it human, right? Make it beautiful, make us feel something. So that's going to be the big difference in terms of moving forward with jobs, is that all of those things that really don't have a deep emotional human element to them or need that level of creativity and strategy, we're going to pass those off to AI. Now, there's going to be a transition in there where all of the people that are in that sector doing those jobs right now, we're going to have to figure out kind of as a society what we're doing. Are they going to be retrained into something else? Are we going to give them a universal basic income sort of a thing so that they're at least taken care of in that respect while they're figuring out what they want to do? All those practicalities we have to figure out with that particular segment. But the great news is that we have a more fulfilling kind of work to offer, to bring to people. We can really focus for the first time on those things that we actually wanted to focus on in the first place. I mean, again, when you're a child, when you're born, when you're little, thinking about, what do you want to do when you grow up, or who do you want to help? It's not, I want to do this like one very manual, mindless thing all day long. That's not what it is to be human. So with artificial intelligence coming in and taking over the aspect of our economy that we really didn't even want to do in the first place, but we kind of had to do because those functions needed to be done. Now we're opening up a world where everyone has that opportunity to do something that is truly meaningful and creative and uses them to their highest capacity and allows them to serve at their best. So that, when we do end up on our deathbed and we are looking back, we say, yeah, what I wanted to do, I did. Like, I helped people, I connected, I brought my creativity to life. I used my incredible strategy and I did this and that. That's really what we're looking for. And that's where this advent of AI is helping us get to. But it's going to be a rough transition in there if we don't see the light on the other side and really start consciously moving towards that and not get hung up on, oh my God, we're losing all these jobs. It's going to be awful. It's about moving everybody forward, right? Moving everybody into a more human, more humane job. So that's that difference. So what does it all mean? So you see here, I picked this guy. He's like, happy brewing some little custom beer, which is really, that's what we want. Like, we want people doing things that they love like that, because what it's going to do is going to elevate all of us in terms of the quality of our life. Not just like what you do every day, but the quality of the products that are coming to you. Like, what is the difference? Let's say this microbrew. If you're into beer, microbrews tend to be a lot better than the big manufactured beers. Why? Because there's so much thought and care and love and everything else that's put into these microbrews that just they're not when you look at big mass manufacturing of beer. And that goes at every level. So as we're looking at us as individuals going to further and further specialization in terms of what we do, we're also looking at further and further specialization in our products. So there's this idea coming of mass customization. So if you look at our products and the goods and services that have been offered, we went from way back, we went from being very specific and very individualized. Let's say you went to a shoemaker, right? Well, a shoemaker was going to make shoes for you. They would measure your foot, they would do all these things, and the shoe would be made specifically for you. Well, that you had to be able to afford it, caused all kinds of problems. And then when we got into the age of automation and production lines, well, guess what? Now we had mass production, which of course has led to all kinds of environmental and sustainability issues. But in terms of the quality of the product that you got, it was okay. It wasn't tailor-made to you. Your shoe was not your shoe anymore. It was now a shoe out there that, okay, I can fit my foot into this shoe, right? So that's what we got with mass production of things. We have more availability, but more like, it's okay. I guess it's all right. It's not tailored to you anymore. But now we're moving into this dynamic aided by a lot of these technologies around this idea of mass customization. So there are, I want to say it's Levi, I could be wrong, but there are jean companies, for example, that are they're tinkering with this idea. So you can use your phone to kind of scan your body shape in, your legs, they take your dimensions, and now because we can create products a lot faster using technologies instead of humans, now they can create jeans, or they're trying to see if they can create jeans that are specific to you and get them to you as quickly as those mass customized jeans, which is awesome, right? So this idea that now we can have the same efficiency, we can have products that are still quick, but now they're actually tailored to you like they used to be with much less effort. So we're seeing this trend in the products themselves going towards more customization, going back towards this idea of just being for you, as well as the idea that jobs are moving toward this idea of just being you. You are your job. You are the thing that you put out into the world. So that's a really interesting kind of bigger arcing energetic trend that we're seeing as well. And that's where we're moving. We're taking out all of the automation, all of the mindless stuff that really doesn't have to be done by humans anymore. And we're moving towards the only jobs that will be left are the ones that use our natural gifts and traits that really are the foundations of what makes us human and what makes us brilliant. Creativity, strategy. That's what we're heading towards. And for me, that's super exciting. And for you, that's really exciting because what that means is that it's all coming down to knowing who you are, the problems you specifically are here to solve, and the people you're here to serve. So let me break that down a little bit. Number one, knowing who you are. So you can't go out there into the coming marketplace and not know who you are because you don't know what your strengths are, you don't know what your values are, and you don't know what you want to do. That all comes out. What you do for the world all comes out of knowing who you are and the problems you're here to solve. So the problems you're here to solve, this comes out of your experiences. Yeah, you have training, you have skills, both formal in terms of what's your education background, but also informal. You know, what have you studied on your own? What really lights you up and gets you excited? What are you some kind of crazy expert at that you never formally studied, but you know what? You could talk about this thing for 6 hours straight and not run out of information. That's all expertise. Sure, it's not backed by some kind of like doctor this or that. That is definitely expertise that you have. All of the heartbreak that you've gone through. Maybe you've had, crazy things that you've had to personally overcome in terms of health or family or whatever. All those things are the value that you bring to the people that you serve. And for me, this is where it gets really fun. So not only are you entering the marketplace from a place of this is who I am, I'm being totally me, and I know the problems that I can help people with, but you get to specify who you want to work with. Like when you get down to this level, let's go back to the shoemaker example, right? It's going to be kind of a silly example, but let's say that, oh my gosh, I absolutely love designing shoes. It's my favorite thing in the world, but I only want to design high heels for women that are over 6 feet tall because they've got big feet and bigger than average feet and they can't find any shoes for them. And that's the person that I want to work with. Like that's very specific. The people that you serve are just as specific as who you are and the products you make. And the good thing is we have so many people in this world right now, billions and billions of us, growing billions, right? That you can be that specific now. It's not like you live in a little town of 100 people and, well, you're the shoemaker, you're going to make shoes for these 100 people. No, you're globally connected, guys. You have the luxury of the internet where you have access. And by the way, in the next 5 years, they're predicting that all human beings are going to be connected to the internet because of all the different tech that they're doing, the 5G, the wireless around the world, all that stuff. So can you imagine that you, as somebody who's out there doing something for money, doing some kind of a business, you have access to all the people in the world via the internet, all of them. You can tailor make your life just to be able to work with the people that you love and who love you. How great of a life is that? You're being authentically who you are. You're working in your strengths. You're working towards a mission that you fully believe in. You're doing work that you love, and you're serving the people that you connect with most, that make you the most fulfilled and happy to work with. I mean, that's like ideal. That's like, if you were going to invent a kind of a human utopia, that's sort of it. Like, that's just happiness right there, right? Just pure happiness. So that's where we're heading. And if we can just get through this transition in terms of the bigger picture and help more and more people realize the opportunity that lies ahead of us, that's incredible. That's where it's at. That's where this is all going. And it's beautiful. We're going to be able to solve problems that we actually want to solve, the things that are most meaningful to us. We're not going to have to do meaningless work anymore. We're not going to have to do jobs just for money at all. And that's amazing. So it all comes down to, first, knowing who you are. And if you want to be at the cutting edge of this trend, which you are just listening to this, but if you really want to dive into this and be like, yeah, maybe you are right now working in one of those sectors that you're hearing me say that's probably going to be automated, right? Maybe that is like the sector of the economy that you're working in, and you're going, oh crap, like I need to get myself in order here and figure out who I am and what I'm going to offer, because that's the next wave, and that's what's going to really give you that peace of mind and the security moving into this, knowing that you can take care of your family, you can take care of yourself. It's okay. It's really okay. In fact, the more people that make this transition, the more amazing just in general the world's going to be, because we're going to be happier as humans. We're going to be happier as people. Can you imagine if everybody that you interacted with was happy doing what they were doing, and they were successful at it, and they were just going about the world, being themselves, doing what they do, working with the people they love? That means that every time you needed a service, the person that you were going to for that service would actually be like happy. They'd be good. And we know from studies that happy people do better work in terms of quality, efficiency, production. Everything goes up when people are actually in a positive state of mind. So I'll give you this. It's the difference between going to, here we have the DMV, I don't know, let's just say any agency where it tends to be really process driven and tends to be miserable. Like maybe it's a post office, right? You go in there and the people behind the counter, they're sort of miserable. They don't want to be doing what they're doing. They give you nasty interactions because their own cup isn't full. Their own patience is at their end. They're frustrated. They got up at a time in the morning where they didn't want to get up. They're doing bullshit all day that they don't want to do, right? And now you, as the customer, go to interact with this person. Imagine that experience. Versus you go to interact with somebody, you go for a service, and this person, this is what they do. This is what they love. How different is that interaction as a customer? Who do you want to work with? Where would you rather go? Of course it's going to be the happy person. Everybody wants to interact with happy people. Like that's just true. At least people, you don't have to be over the top happy, but at least like pleasant and not miserable in what you're doing and frustrated and angry, right? So that's the world that's actually coming if we can get more people quickly on board with this idea of figuring out who they are, asking themselves these questions, and then really having the courage to go for it. And that's really a huge key, is having the courage and the belief in yourself to go for it. So what I'm doing is a step one for you, right? So when we're talking about knowing who you are, diving into your mission, like all these amazing things, it's hard to know, where do I even start? And one of the easiest places to start is this thing called your emotional signature. It is, remember I said, how does it feel when you interact with that person who loves their job and is happy to serve you versus the person that is miserable and just doing this for money? Okay. Think of that energetic interaction. Well, when you, as an individual, interact with other people, you kind of leave this emotional tone with them. And I'm just going to pretend that you are in a decent mood. Like you're happy. There's nothing totally stressing you out. You're not miserable. We all get there sometimes. But let's say when you're actually, you're good. You're being like happy. You're in your positive state. There's an emotional tone that goes along with you. So if you think about different people in your life, maybe when you think about this person, you think about your interactions with person A, you think, they're really warm. Like they're really kind. They're really warm-hearted. Usually our conversations, maybe they bring me the tears, maybe they make me happy, but I know there's like an emotional soft spot when I interact with this person over here. Then think of somebody else and then think, and then when I go to person B, our conversations, they're usually really forward thinking. Like this person really helps me envision things in my life or make decisions, things like that. So this person has a very different energetic tone, even though it's still positive, right? But it's a different energetic tone. You're left feeling with a different emotion when you interact with them. So that emotion that you leave people with, that's your emotional signature. That's like the thing that you do naturally. You don't have to think about it. When you interact with somebody, you leave them feeling this way. And what's interesting is that same energetic or emotional signature, it tends to be when you feel most aligned within yourself. So it is the same emotion that you leave them with, but it's also the exact same emotion that you leave yourself with. So I'll take, me for an example. When I am happy and vibrant and doing well, I feel limitless, right? That's my word. Like, I feel like the possibilities are just endless when you really think about it. And when I interact with people, when I talk with people, whether it's my clients or my friends or my family, whatever, one of the feedback that I get constantly, which is wonderful, is that I help them see possibility and help them feel like they can do anything. Guys, that's huge, right? That's huge for me. I love that. That's my favorite kind of feedback. Is when somebody that I'm talking to says, we had that conversation, and when I walked away, I just felt like I could conquer the world. Awesome. That's the emotional signature. That's mine, right? So mine is this feeling of limitlessness. If I help you feel even a little bit of that, I feel like I've done my job. Awesome. Go out into the world, do amazing things. So there's a really easy process to get to finding your own emotional signature in all of this. And I want to help you do that. And I decided to do it this Saturday. And I'm holding a live workshop. We'll do it together. We'll run through the exercises together. It'll probably take, I don't know, maybe about an hour. And I'll answer all your questions as we go along. It's really fun. Like, it's no, major drama. But I'm going to be doing it in our private Facebook group over at Rebel Leaders. So if you are curious and want to join that, you can just go ahead, click on over to the group. I'll let you in. And on Saturday, you'll get the notification we will be running this workshop. It'll have a nice little downloadable PDF for you. And by the end of it, you will know what your own emotional signature is. So your own emotion tone. How do you love feeling the most? And that feeling is what you love giving to other people the most too. And that's step one in figuring out this whole mission piece. What is my mission, right? Because if you can know at least the emotion that you leave people with and the one you want to create in your life, that right there is a huge step. Most people don't even know that. So I'm super excited to do this workshop with you. And that's coming up this Saturday. I will have all of the notes in the post for this video. But otherwise, we will be talking next time about where is this all going, really, in terms of work. So putting it all together, kind of wrapping up the series in a really strong way, and that is coming up here on Wednesday at 11 a.m., same time, here on the page. I will see you guys then. Thank you so much. There's nothing to really fear about the future. You just got to find out who you are so that nothing can ever steal your job. Nothing, no AI, no automation, because all that stuff is not really who you are. And who you are is what you're meant to do, and that is your mission. All right, guys, I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Mwah. Bye.